Okay, let me open up the September 11th meeting of the Conservation Board. So I guess I'd just like to put out sympathy to 23 years ago, the families that lost people and the first responders, you know, on behalf of both the Conservation Board and the town of Philipstown. Okay, with that said, our first agenda item will be, am I saying your wife's name right? Steensma and Mr. Prins.
Yes, that's the Frisian way, Steensma.
Steensma, okay.
In America, they usually say Steensma, but
And the derivation is?
stonemaker, tile maker.
Okay, so why don't you let us know where you're at? I think everybody's been down to the site at some point or another.
Not in the last couple of months, though.
No. We are, but unfortunately, I gather the two issues are, well, one is really not an issue. One is that the geothermal is just not realistic, which I understand, because I went through that about 10 years ago myself or so. And then the septic, the Board of Health in Putnam County. So you can explain further. to
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah, I'll update you. When I appeared in front of you in July to go over some modest changes, when we got the feedback from the structural engineer and so on and so forth, it was actually modestly to the benefit of the wetlands buffer, that is using less buffer than before. And at that point, based on my conversations with the Department of Health, including Dylan Holger reporting what his supervisor said about a potential waiver, et cetera, it looked like we were going to be able to get a waiver for a 4-bedroom. And we were just about there with our civil engineer designing the septic system. So since then, I got the pricing on the, and there were two questions, as I recall. One was that you'd like to know where the geothermal boreholes were going to be, and could I place them outside of the buffer to the maximum extent. And the other one was, you know, when you've actually got somewhere with the Department of Health, we'd like to see the layout. And maybe it was enough for Max to see it, maybe the whole board should see it, et cetera. So I got the pricing back on the geothermal, and it's like, you know, 120-year payback. It just makes no sense whatsoever to do. So we are not doing geothermal. So that's off the table. Secondly, the Department of Health has basically turned its back on everything it was saying to me over the prior year and a half. And in a conversation with the supervisor at the end of last month, he said that they were going to deny our application for a modest separation waiver just for the reserve because the pool appears to be an in-ground pool, according to him. And that would require 35-foot separation instead of 10-foot under the local Putnam County rules. There are no state separation rules from a pool. He doesn't see necessity, and they never grant waivers for additions, which I found very odd since I've been in touch with them for well over a year talking about an addition. Currently, they are reconsidering the above-ground pool, in-ground pool. I sent them the site plans, definitions from model codes, internet pictures of above-ground pools that look a lot like ours, et cetera. But Mr. Holger explained to me they're down a staff member and they're busy. So I don't have a determination from them. And I think to keep on the schedule with this, the best thing is to file with the building department for a 3-bedroom. And we agreed with you that we would add a Fuji clean, even if we don't get the 4-bedroom. And then if I'm able to persuade the Department of Health on the 4-bedroom, and you guys were supportive of that, then we'll flip and do 4-bedroom. The waiver that we asked for, it's only a county waiver, and,
The word you used?
what's that?
It was only a what waiver, you used an adjective.
Only the county level. We comply completely with state requirements for the reserve and for the system. And it was, instead of being 10 feet away from an above-ground pool, the closest reserve trench would be 4 feet away. In the highly unlikely event you would ever need to put in a new septic system when what you're starting with is a Fuji clean, which is almost drinking water. So we'll see where that goes. The one other thing is that the deck on the east side of the pool was going to extend for 13 feet 10 inches east of the pool. That's now going to be 12 feet, so a little less steep slope.
That's towards the house.
What's that?
That's towards the house.
I still couldn't.
Towards the house.
Yeah,
east, right?
a little less
Yeah.
closer to
Yeah.
the house.
Okay, it's okay.
And I think that's the basic update.
What was their rationale regarding not providing a waiver on additions? Like, are they not?
He just said, I've never done that in 25 years. And I said, well, there's nothing in your regulations that suggests that you don't give waivers on additions.
Are you showing an increase, you're not showing an increase, is it because you're not showing an increase in bedroom count?
Well, but we would show an increase to 4, which is why we would need to put in a whole new system that would meet code.
So what if you wanted to put another bedroom in and needed to expand the system?
Well, that's what we want to do. That's what we applied for the waiver for. Plus he said his standard he was using was necessity, and I said, that's not the standard. The standard is either necessity or impracticality, and we comply with impracticality. There's just not enough room otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, what's strange is, and just correct me if I'm wrong, basically the original plan was sort of to get rid of a bedroom so you could build another bedroom. And then as we talked it over, it was like, well, maybe I should just try to put in a 4-bedroom septic because I'm not really getting rid of any space. I'm just like de-utilizing. It's just strange. It doesn't really make sense. I think
Yeah,
where
yeah.
we are now, though,
But is he
Right,
looking
right,
at it from
'cause when I came,
is he
you know,
looking
in
at
the-
it from a perspective that the site is too environmentally sensitive and therefore an expansion in
no.
any way is not allowed?
No,
Okay.
he was
Because that
just,
would be my only concern, is if the health department is now thinking it wouldn't even be permissible to increase based on the conditions of the
No.
site.
no mention whatsoever.
and I don't think we've ever run into that with them, unfortunately.
No, but no.
You know?
I don't know whether he woke up on the wrong side of bed that day
No, I
or
mean,
what.
this begs, we've had this maybe a dozen years ago where we had the Board of Health come in and we've talked to them at a meeting, you know, because I think the terrain here is unique and it could be example for the rest of the county as well, where there's more sensitive areas, but I think that's something that we should arrange for again. So I think what we come down to right now is, what do you need so that you can start work? And I think at this point, unless somebody has any comments, I don't think there's anything
My only,
wrong.
in the correspondence, the correspondence that we had outside of the board and that brought you here back tonight was just to get assurance from the board that where we left off, that because the improvements to the septic were, I think in the board's mind, a major mitigatory factor in allowing the vote to go through, was that we had assurance that that Fuji Clean system's going in, and that essentially the board is comfortable with that, that we're not gonna have the 4-bedroom system, it's gonna remain a 3-bedroom system with a pre-treatment, installed, so, and we were okay with that, so he could move forward.
So is everybody?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my firm recollection, you know,
So-
and,
Okay, so,
Yep. all right, so I think what I need is,
You're good from our end.
is a wetlands permit, right? You had drafted one up.
Yep.
You were gonna change it because we had submitted updated drawings, and it also refers to the wrong lot number, refers to the little parcel with the dock
Okay.
from the dock permit. Oh, and I should let you know, we're probably gonna put the tide slides in, not this weekend, but next weekend.
put in
Bolt them to the pier.
okay.
And and then they just attach to the dock in season. It's the end of the season, so I'm not even sure I'm gonna attach them to the dock just to pull it out in another month.
And I've only gotten out on the river 4 times this year, so.
Yeah, I've been swimming about, I don't know, 20 times maybe. It's nice swimming.
Okay.
So I need the permit from you, and I think, and when I get a little further with Mr. Holger, I'll figure out, I don't think I need anything from them if it's just a 3-bedroom putting in a Fuji Clean, which is a repair. If he says I need something, then I'll get that from him. And then we'll keep talking with him about the 4-bedroom. And I'd really appreciate it if there's anything you can do to say, we think it would be better if you approved the 4-bedroom system, because he'll
We just need to
he'll
really
put in a whole
we
new
need- We
system.
need to understand his rationale, because like, from my, just hearing this and thinking it through,
Yeah.
it sounds like he was just thinking from an environmental perspective, in my opinion, but I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think so. I think the way it went down was he said, this is an in-ground pool. You're not in compliance with code, end of story. I said, wait a minute, it's an above-ground pool. I started, saying this and that, and then he said, well, plus I never do this and I never do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was less concerned about the proximity to the pool, but his rationale about not expanding the system at all.
And I think in
Oh,
terms of,
he doesn't care about that.
Yeah, okay, that's neither here nor there.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think in terms of in-ground versus above-ground, I think the way it's looked at via code, so to speak, is if it's permanent, which what you're building is
That's
permanent.
the new distinction. Years and years ago, because I looked all of this up after he raised the point, there was a distinction between in-ground and above-ground. Now there's, in the codes, there's no distinction anymore. But if you go and look at, definitions, model definitions, they support that it's an above-ground pool. It's built above ground, then surrounded. Anyway, we'll see what they say.
All right, and we'll get you a permit.
All right, appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any, I have a feeling a lot of the correspondence you had was verbal. I mean, if there's written correspondence, emails, I mean, Max and I would be glad to go through it.
With
See-
them?
Yeah, and see if we
Well, there
can
was
make-
from this spring when I got Dylan on board, and he said he had talked with his supervisor, and while they don't usually give waivers, this seemed like one that was,
If you want to CC us on an email,
Yeah,
so we can all talk,
yeah,
that might be a good way to go.
okay. Yeah, let me take that into account. All right, thank you all.
thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you
one.
for coming in. Okay, next is New York City Department of Environmental Protection, AKA Catskill Aqueduct.
If you're about looking for a wetlands permit, to do some repair work on a culvert under the Catskill Aqueduct. I believe we met out at the site last week, and some questions about reseeding. So we reached out internally to our natural resources people, and they recommended, potential two-seed mixes that were rye-based. So I have, if anyone's interested in seeing them, I have a couple copies of their cut sheets here, if that's something you guys would
Thought
like.
The discussion we had in the field was that essentially the repair is going to be approached from on top of the aqueduct. And see how good I am, I'm guessing it's about a 70-foot drop to get down to the culvert.
They're gonna build a
Right,
road
going to
down.
be a road, and I
Road
thought
down
we
and
had
across.
suggested
Leaving.
just leaving the material, because even though the whole area unfortunately is plagued with various invasives, removing the material that you're putting down in the first place probably is more damage and expense than it's worth. And if that's the case, I'm not sure there would be any reseeding necessary.
There,
I mean, would
it'd
it
be
be
a
better?
lot less, I would
Or
imagine.
would it be better to just lay down a geotextile and leave it?
Like a jute mesh or something that
Yeah.
can
On the slope.
decompose
Yeah,
on slope.
Just make it easier.
I imagine up top, there'll be some reseeding with just, with the
the
construction equipment.
incidental, yeah. I mean, the top of the aqueduct, right, is a, our normal access road to, police and maintain our
Where the road
facilities.
that you're gonna put in there, it's just gonna stay.
The one going down the slope.
No,
Or
the one going from, on the access road.
Yeah, that just stays,
It's gonna leave
it's
that.
just, we're gonna add to the, ongoing maintenance of, what's already there, the stone that's already down. And then, yes, we can, if the preference is leaving the road going down the slope, we will leave the road going down the slope.
Most sense. I mean, what type of machinery do you think you're gonna bring down the road?
So we have a 10-ton limit on the aqueduct, which is the restriction, so it'd be, small pickups, small backhoe, small excavator
Mix
and
cement
stuff.
on site versus, because I'm assuming a cement mixer and, normally if you didn't have a weight limit, you'd be using a cement mixer and a machine to pump downward instead of upward.
Yeah, without having that discussion with the contractor, I would expect them to be, due to the weight, mixing, on site and locally, because we couldn't get a, full concrete truck down the aqueduct. Yeah.
Yeah, not at that. So essentially, I think we just need to, right now, work up a few conditions.
Yeah.
I think we weren't sure about putting either core logs or a silt fence down below.
Right. It would be one or the other,
Yeah,
right?
I thought
You
core,
weren't there, Max, but pictures weren't wonderful, but, it's a steep, I'm gonna guess it's 60 or 70 feet drop on that particular section of the aqueduct.
Could we get a final, I know you had submitted a drawing, it was kind of a standard drawing probably for a bunch of these different repairs. But could it be manipulated or modified so we can include the restoration plan, if we come up with a planting plan or whatever you're proposing, or if we're gonna leave the road in place, sediment and erosion control measures, all that stuff.
Well, I think we have on there, we were silt fence, running on the downhill side of any disturbance.
Oh wait, Andy, you just brought up jute mesh and core logs and.
Right.
don't know
I
what-
think core log might work better going down the aqueduct, because normally when we use a silt fence, we're requiring it to be dug in. And I'm not sure you necessarily really want to be digging into that embankment if you could help it.
well, even down below, it's all rock.
Yeah, well, not only that, but the upper part,
The
the
upper-
cut and cover part is diggable, but,
Yeah, we
it's
can-
structural.
If there's a preference for core log, we can use core log.
I think that would be better for you.
Less disturbance.
So maybe, the conditions, I think, is, they're using, for the road, they're using a material that hopefully will minimize bringing in any other invasives. It's gonna be stone. You're gonna use core logs where possible. If need be, you could, once you get lower down, you could extend to silt fencing. That there will be before you start work, you'll modify the plans, the sheet that you gave us that shows the mitigation that you're doing. If there is gonna be any planting, it should stipulate the seed mix, but I have a feeling that it would probably be better off just using some type of jute or something because it's so shady. I don't think anything's gonna grow, and you don't really have a way to necessarily water it, even though some of these mixes supposedly in a good year will grow.
Yeah. I mean, the mix we asked for, shady.
Right.
Shady and, rocky and
Right.
and everything.
Also, the thing is, there's nothing growing in there now.
No, it's bare,
Yeah. Very rocky.
yeah. So I'm not sure what else we would want.
I mean, would you guys be open to doing invasives management? Do you still have an invasive species, like summer program?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I know we have folks on staff that, focus on plants, and they do have, a focus on invasive species, but I don't know what the extent of their involvement or work is.
Yeah, I mean, that might be something to add to the plan too. I don't know if there's any work you can do before disturbing the ground there or afterwards, once everything's, left in place, but maybe there's a maintenance stage that we could add to the plan.
Normally we would push for that, but I think because this is a repair, and basically at this point, the entire top of the cut and cover section of the aqueduct is just a field of mugwort. I'm not sure it's necessarily reasonable, because we'd be just doing a tiny little, I think we could only realistically ask for a small area.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I have no concerns with it. I mean, I think.
anybody have any other comments or conditions? So then I'd like to have a motion to grant a permit. Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Okay, so we'll get you a permit.
And then I'll I guess, work with you, Max, on whatever final
Yeah,
plan
if you
sheet.
wanna just submit, once you have that final drawing created,
Okay.
you can just submit it in triplicate to the building department and give us a digital copy
Mhm.
to Cheryl and myself, and then that'll get distributed to the board and the
And
building
that-
department.
Right, and that's gonna cover, right, core logs, final erosion control setup, and leaving the road in, and
Yep.
whatever any planting mix that we propose.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for coming in. Okay, hopefully I'm saying it right. Mr. Liaskos? Am I saying it? Liaskos?
Liaskos.
Liaskos, okay, I'll get it.
He did better than half my grade school teachers, so I can't complain.
And what did the grade school teachers say?
Yeah, you don't wanna know that. All right, so I just wanted to advise the board on an update. It's 498 Sprout Brook Rd. I'm not sure if everyone had done the site visit back September it was. There was a bunch of initial concerns that the building department / this board had, and I think with the submittal of the soil samples, I think that I've addressed all of their concerns. The last one was of the soil that I had imported. The concern was whether there was any contamination or anything wrong with it. So I found Tom Gallinger, who happens to be a local guy, lives in Continental Village. He's a soil testing, that's his company. So he came in and I told him to do a testing. He knew exactly what needed to be done after I got the guidance from the DEC. It was part 375. So he knew exactly what had to be tested for. And he went there and he did the test. He did the full, as Max had requested by the email, to have more of like a written report instead of just the numbers. So I think Cheryl said she had gotten you guys the digital, yep. So that broke everything down. He tested for volatile organic compounds, not detected at all. Semi-volatile organic compounds, not detected. Herbicides, not detected. Pesticides, not detected. Some of the metals were detected, some of them being naturally occurring. The highest that it tested was on copper, and that was at 50% of what the New York State DEC qualifies for as unrestricted use, which, growing vegetables for human consumption is unrestricted use. So basically everything came back clear. So that was, and he said he did multiple samples throughout the property. Then the other issue was slope stabilization. Luckily, that's been solved with a combination of Mother Nature and time. It is fully grown. In fact, I couldn't even walk through the property today. It was difficult, to say the least. I had to use a weed whacker because I had to check on a tractor that has been sitting there since this process started. There's also the new plans which had been submitted on the last meeting with you guys that address the slope stabilization, and then a drainage pit with absorption trench on the bottom. Another issue initially raised was the proximity of the expansion area to the water course, so Max came in and redelineated the property. With that, we had a newly designed septic system, which, even though we're building a 4-bedroom house, it was approved for a 5-bedroom. It is a Fuji system, as the previous gentleman was talking about his style, and it's been approved by the county, along with the well plan, which was the same as previous before. And then the last concern was water drainage off of, when looking at my property off to the right-hand side. When I had gotten the stop work order, I was only about, I don't know, maybe about 3 to 5 work days away from that being stabilized, but obviously with the stop work order, I did stop. Now with all,
That's the property to the south, right?
yeah, looking into my property to the right-hand side, the downhill side, correct. And when any of the water that was building up was actually, even though my neighbor considered it his lawn, because he had grass, his own grass there planted for the year, it was still within my property line. But even still, the new plans addressed that by having an absorption trench there. So even though, like I said, it's still all the water staying within my property, doing the right thing as per the board's request, and trying to do the right thing with the neighbor too, and having an absorption trench so he can't say. Now, he's saying that his septic was, I don't think he knows where his septic is. He says, oh, my septic's being affected. But if his septic is on my property, that sounds like more of his issue than my issue. But again, I haven't dug down there. I haven't had an excavator down there to dig to see where a septic, nor am I going to dig in that until I put the absorption trench in. And, but I think I've addressed all the issues that were initially brought up by the Conservation Board. I know it's taken quite a bit of time, to say the least. Is there any questions that the board has?
Max, I thought you had a couple.
Yeah, well, yeah, could you, I don't know if you have your site plan, but could you point out where he took the samples from?
He actually has it in pictures.
I can't figure it out based on the photos.
It was where there was,
Where the fill was.
yeah, where the fill was, there was piles of fill.
So this is, I think what we were at least I was most concerned with that initial drop where you had filled with the big, I don't know, sidewalk pieces and stuff like that. Is that the general area?
Yeah, it was, all the fill had come from the same places, so there was some that had been spread, some that hadn't.
Yeah.
He took piles, he took samples from piles that were still there that had never been spread out yet. As soon as Greg had come in and given me the stop work order, everything just stopped right then and there. So those were fill samples that had never been touched, and I mean, he dug, the way he explains I wasn't there on site. I didn't want any signs of propriety. I didn't want to be there. Plus, I don't get on an airplane and ask the pilot how he's going to get to my destination. I just go sit in the seat. He's the professional. I let him do his thing. So that was, so he took the samples from areas, from stuff that had not been spread out, yeah.
Okay. I mean, it gives me a little bit of a clarification, I guess, on the logic behind that would be through the whole soil profile, I guess.
So Max, what are your thoughts where we should go from here? I mean, what
think
the
Greg-
applicant is
yeah.
looking for is, at least from the end of the materials that were moved on the property, are we at a point that we can comfortably say that we feel you should remove the stop work order on that aspect? I don't know if there's any other.
I think the wetlands issue's been covered because it's out of the wetlands buffer. Now it's a steep slopes infraction and filling without a permit, essentially.
Right.
So that's what we're looking at it from that perspective right now. If the board's satisfied with the soil testing and what's been provided in terms of results in the report, then I think we can report back to Greg regarding lifting him, contemplating lifting that stop work order and allowing him to then just proceed with development through the building department and not through this board.
I'm okay with that.
Your thoughts?
Do we have any inclusion of like the trench for the absorption trench and things like that? Do we put that in?
Well, it's outside.
No, it's
in
in
there
there,
That
by
was
the-
on the last set of plans that I submitted. I don't know if you guys have the full file with me. Unfortunately, I didn't bring full sets of plans, but yeah, there wasn't.
But do we have to include
It
it?
is outside, everything's outside the wetland buffer now.
Yeah, but the site, we're agreeing that the site plan that you're submitting to Greg will include that, and that's on his
Yes,
latest.
yeah, correct. So
Yeah.
there was a newly delineated, which originally it was, that's where it had been originally delineated. When Max came in, it was right behind over there. And so now the expansion, because we obviously don't need as much fields because of the Fuji
But
system.
this is the old site plan?
That was the newer one that just got beat up in the back of my car. This one.
Grab the mic.
It's unplugged now.
Want me to come around and hold that for you?
I'm good. I can. Oh, okay. I'll sing it. It's like karaoke. I got to sing and hold the words. So the original steep slope was the small lines over here, and now the steep slope was just pushed that way and not quite as steep. The drop off
So where's the drain? Do you have that shown on there?
drain is, where is it on this one?
Doesn't look like it's on that one.
Nope, that's the well section. No, it'll be on the other, crap. Let me see. Oh, here we go.
I just want to make sure that it's on there.
So yeah, so here's the absorption trench, somewhere cross section, and
So we just need to make sure that it's on the plan,
yes,
but shown on the site plan that Greg's going to review.
okay. Yeah, we'll make sure, because he's gonna get this copy as
Make
well.
sure that that's sent to us too before you send
Okay.
that to him, just so that
Absolutely.
we can see that.
Yeah, I'll resend, I guess I'll resend both of you guys, because I have both your email addresses. I'll resend both of you the digital copies of this.
And I guess, Scott, do you want to just take a look? Can you show us the other plan and then show us your intentions in terms of how long that trench is going to be? And I thought there was a plan with it on there.
There absolutely was, and I did, maybe, I just grabbed this, I was running late today. Yeah, it was definitely, I think this must be a third piece of paper. All right, I will get those over, I will definitely get those, but it definitely was in the plan, on one of the meetings we had.
So if you should show us, it's gonna run along the base of that slope for the
Yes.
distance of the fill, is that?
Basically wherever it was, wherever the water was collecting, and it was collecting right in this area, right over here.
And across the line, according to.
Well, it was on his lawn, but you see, my neighbor thought his lawn went to right over here, because he had always mowed that grass.
Right.
Not realizing that his property line is over here.
Right,
So that was the big issue.
right. And the trench is gonna be at the end of the line.
It'd be well within my property line.
And how long a trench? I'm sorry.
Well, no, go ahead.
How long a trench?
I don't know, I don't want to lie to you and tell you, I know that answer, but I have it on the other, it's on the other set of plans.
Our whole goal, I don't think our concern is if it's fully on your property. I mean, obviously, we want it to be on your property, but we want it to mitigate any sort of ponding that would flow over the line.
Oh, I don't want any ponding even on my property, and just for the sake of mosquitoes and things of that sort. So there'll be plantings at the bottom as well. So what
No,
I was,
I mean, in terms of designing the trench, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's the goal. It's, we're not, that'd be our probably main concern, is that your neighbors are getting that alleviation from.
yeah, now there is also, I I have videos, and I guess I could send them, where there is a lot of water that comes across my neighbor's property and actually into that ponding area. And it was his gutters face right that area, so off the roof of the house. It comes off the road, and the roadway that's on his property line, it comes off the road here and down his lawn, because this is also very steep over here, greater than 45 degrees.
Well, I'll just say then make a best effort attempt
Yeah.
at solving the problem, show it on the plan. I don't know, Andy, you wanted to add
Well,
something?
I do want to add something. Normally, we don't request this, but I think because it's been a problematic site, I do think we should suggest to the building inspector that an engineer, whoever you've hired as an engineer, I know I met him, oversees the hardscaping that's being done.
Yeah.
I think that would ensure that this is done properly,
That's perfectly fine. I mean,
right? I think that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
no, he's the engineer for the town of Cortland. So he's used to being on the, representing your side of things.
Yeah, I mean, an engineer is basically, or most engineers, I'd like to think, is not going to allow you to do something wrong and put their license in jeopardy, but I think that would be a good double check.
There's a saying that the person who graduated last of their class still has the same degree that says doctor. So, you know, I like to think the better people are employed by better companies and,
Yeah.
public, but. So, is there any other concern that the board has? I can,
That's it?
No, yeah, so just ensure that we have that plan that's shows the designed, trench or, dry well or whatever ended up getting on that drawing that I saw.
Yeah. We have final plans.
And then we'll correspond with, like Andy said, we'll come up with a memo to the building inspector and let him know how we concluded, but ultimately it'll fall back in his hands, on how he's gonna allow you to proceed, so.
and so obviously, once the slope is fully stabilized, because I'll have to disturb it and unstabilize it to get it properly stabilized, not just with the weeds and the saplings that have grown in. So obviously, that'll be all in the plans, but the building department will deal with that.
Yeah. His issue was the fill. That was bringing the fill in without permission, and then the steep slope. So it's not necessarily the stabilization. Like, that would have come hand in hand with getting a
With the steep
permit.
slopes.
Yeah.
All right, is there any other concerns that the board has?
Thank you. Thank you for coming in. Have a
Think
good
that you
evening.
guys on to the next step.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your help, John. Appreciate you.
Okay. Our new business for tonight, Sallerson and Kurinsky. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it properly.
I don't have a stand, but I'll do my best to hold. Annie Menace from Garrison Foundry Architects, and my clients are here. You guys could sit right up here if you want. Sylvia and Jane. They purchased the house last year, or this year, actually, this spring. Oh, 2 years ago? Oh, okay. It's a house on Cortland Lake, and they are hoping to expand their deck fairly minorly, but obviously its proximity to Cortland Lake is why we're here today. We submitted you guys some plans. They're fairly straightforward. As far as disturbance, everything's on sonotube, so the actual numbers of disturbance is very minimal. We have a structural drawing, but there's a pier at each post, and then there's a small platform down here. I did print these out as well. Almost all of the area that we're building on is already paved. So we're pretty much, if you can see, this is the existing deck. We're hoping to increase it by 2 feet towards the lake, because it's kind of narrow, and then build it off to the side so that they can park a car underneath it, and put a little dining table up here. But again, the area is, it's part of their existing driveway, and we're basically extending it. I did this kind of diagram for you, even though it's sort of messy. I thought it was helpful to just look at them sort of superimposed, the old deck versus the new deck, so you could see the difference between the two. And then these are the larger site plans with obviously some dimensions for site plan purposes and to the lake. But yes, so feel free to ask any questions that you may have.
So essentially what you're doing is you're building the deck out towards the lake, most of it over an existing retaining wall, right? Stone masonry wall.
Yes, there's already
And
stone
then,
there. Mhm.
I'm not seeing, and then to the west, you're also in, that's what you're calling the carport, but it's actually a deck, and that would also come closer. So the question is, I guess we should probably do a site visit on this.
Sure, yeah, no problem.
I think
Yeah,
that makes the
Cortland
most.
Lake, as you know, is obviously one of these lakes that needs a little TLC. It is off and on unswimmable because of algae and things like that. But the clients obviously love it. They love the view. They want to be able to sit and enjoy the peaceful nature surroundings with a little bit more comfortable setting, and really hopefully providing very minimal impact to what already is kind of a tricky lake. But absolutely, we'd love to. You
Yeah,
can
so,
come
I
out
mean,
at any
on
time.
a site visit, we'd like to see where the deck is going to be, we'd like it staked.
Sure, we can stake it.
Stake, or
Yeah,
where
we can
you're
get that done
going into
anytime.
concrete, just mark it.
Yeah, perfect, yeah. Would you, we can get that done this week or whenever.
Well, when is construction?
So we're kind of, Greg flagged it. As you know, the building department's very busy, and we filed it this spring, and we were hoping to go, and we demolished the deck, existing deck, and then Greg flagged it. So we're ready to start construction whenever, but obviously follow the course as needed from you guys. So we could have it staked by Friday and have you guys come out whenever works for you. Obviously, you can just come on your own, or if you want us to meet you out there, that would be fine
Yeah,
too.
it's probably better if preferable as a group site visit.
Sure.
So since close to, what are we missing? 2 board members are not here? 3, yep. Then I would suggest Cheryl just reaching out and finding out what's a good time.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen this or next week, I don't think at all,
Okay.
so.
As soon as we can, I guess. I mean, obviously, we're hoping to get it done before it gets,
Right.
too far into fall. But obviously, we have some homework to do. So yeah, so we can stake it, and then we'll just reach out to Cheryl and schedule that meeting.
And I don't believe,
I could be there. I can meet you. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
and I don't think,
absolutely.
if my memory serves me, I looked at the plans when I first got the packet, we're not showing any mitigation measures right now.
No, but happy
Yeah,
to.
that should be in there, of how we're gonna make sure
Yeah, follow your lead
that,
on what we need. I
whether
mean, the
you're using
actual.
silt fencing, core logs, a
Yes.
combination thereof, that nothing is going into the lake.
Yeah, we would put all silt fence all around, and then as far as mitigation, there's not a lot of, it's a very tiny lot. And the house sits most of it, there's a tiny little lawn to the west
A
of the
tiny
driveway.
little, excuse me.
Lawn to the west
Right,
of the
right.
driveway. And then there's uphill, a tree had fallen on the house that they removed. There is some, I don't know how plantable that area is, but absolutely, they would love to offset whatever we need from a mitigation point of view.
Okay.
Great.
Great,
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah.
All right, so, am I saying it right? Schienman on Jaycox Rd, they're asking for return of escrow.
Yeah, so that, I don't know if
Which
the,
project? That one I just don't remember.
that was it was a continuation of invasive species management that on an adjoining lot to Lashinju.
Okay.
And then Lashinju recently sold that property, or the homeowner sold the property. The new,
Doing all that work.
yeah, and now the new owners haven't re-engaged us at all about keeping those permits current. And so this particular permit, dealt with basically, Tom from Trillium had the neighboring property submit an application to just make sure that they were controlling, from a landscape perspective,
Yep.
the invasives that were affecting that Lashinju parcel. So now that they're not continuing they're, basically this family just wants to get the money back on that and close that permit out. So,
So are you all right with that?
yeah, I mean, I don't think we have a mechanism to keep, allowing them, or we have no mechanism to force them to hold
Right.
an open permit, because, yeah, there's no,
Nobody's holding them to it.
no, I mean, when you do sell the property, the transfer of the permit does happen to the next owner, but there's nothing that is like binding them. It was like an agreement that we had essentially to do the herbicide applications within regulated areas on the property. It wasn't like they were beholden to do them because they were constructing. It wasn't a
But this was
mitigation.
not, excuse me, this is not the property that was sold. It was Shinju was sold?
Right, yeah,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe they were the ones paying for,
yeah.
so. So I think I don't think we need to make a motion on this, so
Yep.
that's fine.
Yep, that's it. The only other stormwater news that we have is that, our stormwater management plan is written. The draft is done, and I believe I distributed it to the stormwater group, or had Cheryl help me with that. There's a lot of information there, a lot of like next steps are coming. We're gonna be holding a meeting, the SWAG group's gonna be holding a meeting in October, so we can present that document. That document is gonna be available for the public to review. And whether it gets adopted at a town board meeting or this board, at this board level, I need to get clarification on, but it will need to get adopted by the town, and then the public can comment on it.
I think it probably needs a public hearing.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, the public comments on it, then it gets adopted.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So, and then that document will be like a living document that gets updated every year, and it'll be housed at the building department, online. I think we'll put a copy at the library, just so anybody, probably a copy here, town hall, if anybody wants to look at it. And yeah, we're mandated by the DEC now under this new permit to update it annually, and I think maybe even 6 months, so, yeah, but it's good. It's a good document. It's, brings us up pretty close to compliance with everything. I don't know if everyone on this board is also, in the loop on a mapping grant that we applied for as well. So we submitted for MS4 mapping to be done. Hopefully we'll hear back soon on the grant, the results of if we were awarded that or not, but that'll cover, contractor costs to come and basically re-inventory all of the, stormwater, infrastructure in Continental Village and in that MS4 boundary, and then produce maps that will go on the town website and be printed and all that. So hopefully we get that, but we're in the running for that. It's a competitive grant, but it is meant specifically for that task, to bring us up to compliance, so that's where we're at.
So talking about mapping, so Jason, listen, how about, so we can finish the mapper you had put together,
Yeah,
resubscribing to ArcGIS?
Yeah, I'm gonna be at the, meeting tomorrow. Steve called me about that, so maybe I can talk to you about just some mechanisms on how we could try to procure a couple of these things for the stormwater program, and then other, like, so we used to have an Esri account, online Esri account, and we need to basically get a subscription paid for again.
It's under $500, I think, for the.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what, I think it's kind of prorated on how much data you're using, but, it's really just like a mechanism of, I think we have the money, Jason, it's just like figuring out how do we actually, are we able to spend the money? Cause it wouldn't be through a check, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, like how, do we have a credit card we could charge it to, or something like that? Or does it go through highway and then gets reimbursed somehow, you know? Yeah.
And then I guess correspondence / unfinished business. There was a letter from somebody talking about Vasta that was on, not Upland Drive, what comes off of it, Cliffside Court. I mean, in my mind, we gave our recommendations to the planning board, we never heard back. So past that, I'm not sure there's anything that can be done at this point.
So he still has a lot of violations down there.
Yes, they still have violations, right. So it would be nice for us to be kept up to date on that.
Okay.
And then I'm gathering, the property was sold in Juniper, what is it, Juniper Hill Road? They'll be
right.
coming in October
Yep. Yeah.
to renew a permit, and we're probably gonna end up having to do a site visit on that. And we have anything else?
We gotta approve minutes.
We can't, because on both sets of minutes, there's not a quorum of who attended those particular. You're good though, but sorry about that, we're gonna have to wait.
Roll over it, though.
Andy, can I give you a quick update?
Yes,
This is very quick. How's everybody?
Good.
So just because these issues have both come in front of the Conservation Board, so one, you know, the town had a moratorium on oil storage facilities. And then the other issue is revisiting conservation subdivision regulations. So just at the last town board meeting, the town board approved a motion to form an advisory committee on both those issues. And so that advisory committee is just going to look at, one task for it is to look at a consultant that can advise the town on how to go about not allowing oil storage facilities in the town. And then the second will be really looking at the conservation subdivision code and seeing if it needs to be revised in any sort of a way to kind of better meet the spirit of that code. So that's just ongoing, I want to let you know. And so there'll be town council members on those committees. They'll also have the guidance of the town attorney. And then I hope we're trying to get a member of the planning board, although they have their hands full. And then I think there's one or two other spots we're looking for.
yeah, I had spoken a while ago to John Van Tassel, and then I got a call to just confirm yesterday, because I had suggested who agreed, Bob Repetto, because he's an engineer and he has extensive experience in writing rules and guidelines for the American Society of Chemical Engineers, so I think it's sort of a good fit.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. All right. Yep. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, with that said, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.